Hey, Andrew, guess what?
What's that, Sam?
Ho, ho, ho. The Hurricanes have lost uh, two games in a row after having a three-goal advantage.
Christmas is canceled, everybody.
Oh, man, Andrew, those Florida games, they were rough. Oh, rough. And for the record, those who are watching on YouTube, yes, I'm wearing a Winnipeg jersey um, for this episode because of one part of it. The Hurricanes hurt my heart this past weekend, but I get some of it past because I do have Ehlers on my jersey. So I think that's a fine jersey, don't you think, Andrew?
I think it's an acceptable jersey. We will let it slide, given that our feelings are a little hurt right now. So,
Yeah.
if you're going to ruin the holiday spirit for us in such glorious fashion, if you want to wear a halfway Hurricanes jersey, I ain't that mad at you.
Yep. Now, I mean, obviously, we'll get into the games, but Andrew, I think like a big picture thing, we're still at the top of the standing, so it's not like it's panic mode, but man, those games hurt.
Yeah, no, they hurt. The Florida one hurts because talk about just not so great, recent memories of blowing leads against
Hmm.
them. And the Tampa one, just because it was just in such a quick turnaround from blowing a 3-goal lead, literally 24 hours prior. So, just a tough sports weekend in general. We were just saying how I'm glad that we got to have a good night's sleep and watch the Panthers take first place in the division. Because
Hmm.
if we had recorded last night, I don't know how well I would have done keeping the obscenities to a minimum.
Yep, I completely understand. So, as usual, we have a great partnership with SeatGeek. So, you get $20 off your first purchase if you use promo code Caniac Reports, all one word. It's a great deal if you're trying to save money on some tickets. I'm not going to say to a Hurricanes game just because it's been rough.
Oh, come
But
on.
you can use it whenever, whether it's to a concert or a comedy show, whatever. And remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, if you're still watching, even after seeing me wearing a Winnipeg jersey, please leave a like and subscribe and leave a comment. It really does help us out. And also hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode. And if you are listening to us wherever you get your podcast, please leave a rating and a review. Really does help us out. And remember, no episode on Friday. So this is the only episode you'll be getting for this week. So, Andrew, obviously, a roster freeze as we're recording this is already imminent for the entire NHL, but there were some trades that did happen. One with the player that I think we kind of talked about in the last episode, and that was Philip Denault. Obviously, it seemed like the Hurricanes were mildly interested. I think is a good case to say. But he gets dealt to Montreal, and LA gets a 2026 second round pick. What do you think of this trade?
Uh, just seems like a guy that Montreal was familiar with coming back to
Hmm.
provide some veteran presence. That's an exciting young team. So I love it for all parties. It wasn't really working out with the Kings. They get a second round pick, and yeah, I think it's a good bit of work for both sides here.
I do too. Hopefully, with Denault having the familiarity he's had before with Montreal, maybe that helps him rejuvenate this season because he did not start out well at all with LA.
No, and he's going to a situation where he's not expected to be a top six player. I don't think
Yep.
just be a steady bottom six presence, maybe help out the young guys. So at this phase in his career, I think it makes sense. And who knows, the fresh start might do him some good. Hope not, because I can't stand the Habs, but I mean, best of luck to him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the Habs. Again, when it comes to hating a team, there's only a few teams that I truly hate. That's the Rangers, Washington, and Boston. So
I've
Montreal,
I've
I'm just
always
like,
I've always had a gripe with them because of people from Quebec City coming down to like Raleigh and like basically buying tickets to put on a performative stunt to relocate the team. And as a resident of Boston for over a decade, if I didn't develop some hard feelings towards Montreal, they might not let me stay. So
I understand, because Boston and Montreal have a huge rivalry.
Yeah.
there.
Oh boy, they hate each other, and it's so funny because Montreal fans and Boston's fans, they all go to vacation up in Maine over the summer, and you'll just go to like the restaurants on the beach. You'll just see a table full of red and a table full of black and gold, and just the palpable tension. Like it's not like Duke UNC where it's intense, but I mean we all usually get along when it's not game day. Up here, no, like you don't make eye contact, you don't associate. Those are the unwanted.
Oh man. So the next trade, Andrew, Columbus, they get Mason Marchment, and in return, Seattle, they get a second round pick and a fourth round pick. So honestly, I think Seattle, with those picks alone, I thought that's a pretty decent return for a guy in Mason Marchment. You know, Seattle, things have gone south for them pretty quickly here. And Columbus, I mean, Don Waddell, he's loved Mason Marchment because I don't know if you remember, Andrew, when he was GM of the Canes, he tried to get Mason Marchment, but it ultimately didn't. That fell through. So what do you think of that deal?
Yeah, and if I'm remembering Marchment to the Canes correctly, it seemed like it was all but a done deal. And it was like even after some people had some well-connected people had posted about it, it was last second he went to Dallas. Fiery player makes a difference whenever he's on the ice. I like that Columbus isn't just content with being where they're at. I don't think that's a quick turnaround, so I do think they hired the right guy in Donna Waddell to help them transition. Obviously when he came to Carolina, he kind of fell backwards into getting Rod Brind'Amour as a coach his first year, so that'll help. But I'm rooting for Columbus. That's a fan base that I think is very passionate for how little success that they've had. And again, the Don Waddell collection, I'll always be thankful for his time with Carolina.
Oh yeah, I mean he was part of like the original group that helped get the Canes out from that long playoff drought. So it's I mean whenever you get out of that playoff drought and you're part of it, automatically in my book you're pretty good.
Say what you will about Mr. Waddell, but he likes this group a lot. He really does.
Yes, he does. Yep. And that's kind of it for NHL news. Again, there is a current roster freeze because of the Christmas break, so no trades will be happening at all this week. And let's get to talk about the Hurricanes, Andrew, because the injury list has kind of gotten a bit bigger since the last time we talked, because we know Seth Jarvis is now hurt. Now we'll talk more about the hit, obviously, as we recap the Florida game. But obviously we put him on IR, Andrew, so he's gone for at least a week. But we brought up Bradley Nadeau. And I will say, I think one of the positives from that Tampa game, again, more detail into that later, I thought Nadeau played a good game.
Yeah, same. And not just the goal. If I'm remembering right, he had 4 hits too. So he came up and is saying, "Hey, I'm not just a pretty finesse guy to punch in some wide open goals. I'm here to try to contribute to this team." So, get well soon, Jarvie. We know that guy is tough as nails. So for him to go down the way that he did, that was a scary play. I'd probably still be laying down if that happened to me, but. Get well soon, and hopefully Nadeau turns this into a bit of a blessing in disguise, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if that was me, Andrew, they'd have to get a stretcher. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, to even drive the net like that takes a level of courage, because you're not expecting. You're not surprised if someone trips you. You're surprised if someone basically tomahawk chops the top of your feet like that. Which we'll get into that, because obviously I'm sure we have some opinions about.
You're already stirring up the emotions already in me, Andrew.
Yep. All right. Well, like I said, we're starting from a happier note. Thank you, Bryce Young and the Panthers, but that'll get ruined very quickly, I'm sure.
Panthers are first in their division, so.
I actually posted on our Twitter account both the Panthers division standings and the Hurricanes division standings next year. I was like, I'm not sure how to act.
That's how I know.
Exactly.
Oh man.
What is this warm feeling I have on at 5:00 on a Sunday? I don't feel the urge to go plan traffic or anything. What is this?
Yeah. And another thing too, Andrew. There's a difference, obviously, for those who are listening, between 32 Thoughts, the podcast, and 32 Thoughts, the blog that Elliot Friedman does. And I don't know if you heard, Andrew, but it seems like another thing came out with the whole Quinn Hughes type of thing. Apparently, Carolina were the front runners until Minnesota came in, and apparently Nikishin was a trade piece because Jim Rutherford came in during the 20th anniversary thing, and they did talk from what was written on Ellie Friedman's blog.
Yeah, and that's not so surprising. That they would talk.
No, it's not.
Because we know that Tulski's in on everything. It's to what degree of seriousness is it? But I mean, if you're gonna move a guy like Hughes, you do want something like a Nikishin coming back for him. So depending on what was attached to him, we talked at the last podcast about how I'm assuming the package was something to the effect of a first round Nikishin, Stankoven, and a prospect like, say, a Ryan Suzuki.
Yep.
Which I don't think I make that trade, but I wouldn't be like furious if they did either. I mean, it's Quinn Hughes. You take those guys every chance you can get. But I was kind of surprised how many fans I saw once that news broke on the different social media platforms, kind of being like, no, like, I don't want to trade Nikishin, all this. And, we're both big fans of him. We both think, the future is bright for this guy. Really, this guy's a limit for what he can do. But I mean, if you're telling me you wouldn't take Hughes over Nikishin, then you're just not watching Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, when I saw that, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me because again, you got to put yourself in Vancouver shoes. What would they want? Nikishin would definitely be a probably at least a start for the Vancouver Canucks. So, Andrew, I want to talk about one more thing. Jacob Slavin, like I know we already kind of talked about the injury report. Now, he's not really injured per se, but he is taking limited ice minutes. I am actually, even I know he didn't play against Tampa. I wonder, I mean, it's tough because they did say that they were planning on doing that before the Florida game. But at the same time, us Canes fans did witness that big hit on Slavin. So it just makes you wonder in the back of your head, Right.
Yeah. And I mean, they can say it was pre-planned all they want, which it does make sense. You got a guy coming back from a knee injury. Yeah. Maybe we don't have him play on a back-to-back on the road against, we know how chippy Florida plays, but Tampa's not exactly known for being a bunch of choir boys either. So I don't think it's really worth reading too much into, but I do understand the concern. But I mean, just because it does make sense to long-term make that choice to not have him play in 2 games in 48 hours, I think it's a bit of a non-story.
Yeah, I do too, but I do find it just a little bit interesting just because of the Hurricanes fan that's in me. So
for sure.
Yep. So that's kind of it, Andrew, on news with the Hurricanes and around the league. So now that comes the hard part. Recapping these 2 games. So as we get our emotions in set, here is a sponsor. Every yard, every sack, every interception, and every touchdown. With Pick 6, DraftKings' newest game, every snap can turn into a big-time payout. This isn't just watching the game. This is playing to win. Here's how it works. Pick more or less on 2 or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. It's that simple. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in Pick 6 credits with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. You know the game. Now make it pay. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Make the call, ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer. Okay, Andrew, this is just for me here. Inhale, exhale. Alrighty.
And Florida scores.
Yeah, 4 scores. Oh, the Florida game. Oh boy. So, this game, Andrew, I mean, was great. Obviously, we started the scoring, which I mean, great. I do think that's great. It's just you got to keep that lead, of course. But Stahl, he scores from Robinson and Ghost in that first period. That's a great goal for Stahl. He's doing great with the goal scoring this season.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Robinson, gets the cut those 5 seconds. I was talking about a different game. I'm so jumbled about these games because it all sucked so bad. But yeah, no, Stahl has been really leading by example, not just in the small things, but just, producing. And you need your captain to do that, especially when the team's trying to get into a bit of a rhythm. So that's why he's the captain. He's really leading this team into battle. We need guys like Aho and Svech to pick up that flag.
Yes, we definitely do. Now, in the Florida game specifically, Andrew, I will admit, Aho, he kind of did a little bit because in the second period, he scored 2 goals, very good goals. And we're up 3-0, right? Right?
Well, you know what they say, it's the worst lead in hockey, 3-goal lead, which when you have it going into the third, you should be able to hold on to it. Like the collapse against Tampa was more your traditional, go up by a lot, you let your foot off the gas, and here comes a team. But the Florida game, man, I don't know if they played well enough to deserve to win, but just the way that they collapsed last second just was absolutely brutal.
Oh yeah, it really was. Did I accidentally say the second period for the 2 Aho goals or not?
I don't remember, but
yeah, because there was no score in the second period, but third period was when we scored 2 goals. And I've seen the Hurricanes give up 2-goal leads before, not 3-goal leads. So that's why this kind of caught me off guard. Now, here's the thing: it's the Panthers, so I did have in the back of my mind when we were up 3-0, Andrew, like, you gotta continue scoring because this is a Florida team that can go like a super troll on you, or however you want to say it, because once they get going, they're very hard to stop, and we saw that in the last 15 minutes. Now, granted, I thought Bussy played fantastic that game. I do not blame that game on Bussy.
I don't blame either game on either goaltenders. I think Florida was able to come out in the last, 15, really mostly those last 10 minutes and just say, all right, well, we're not going to win a skating contest against these guys. What if we just, kind of half play hockey, half play, after school brawl? And the Canes, they responded more than they have in past years. So that was kind of reassuring. Like, Hall throws the big hit after, I want to say it was Slavin took that hit from behind that should have been a penalty. Stahl comes in.
And that's what started it all, was that hit on Slavin.
Yeah, and there was some chippiness building. Like, you could kind of feel it even in the first period. But, once Florida, if they don't think they're going to win the game, which, they were still trying to win, obviously. But down by 3, that much time left, you're kind of in the back of your head, maybe conceding defeat here. And, there's that famous Paul Maurice quote, which granted this applies to the playoffs, but it's, you basically beat up their defense. So at the end, they have nothing left. And that's what they did. And, we can complain about the officiating all we want. We can call it dirty all we want. And there's validity to all of that. But, when you watch a team win 2 cups in a row, you have to kind of look at what the league is allowing, which granted there's some things to talk about there with like Colin Campbell and all that kind of stuff, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But if that's what's going to win you cups and that's what the league's allowing, then you need to step up to the plate. That doesn't mean you have to go out and headhunt the way that some of these teams do. But, hats off to Taylor Hall, salute for doing it. He should not have been the first person to do something kind of borderline back, because I do think the Hall hit was absolutely a penalty that they just didn't because of, but that's the other thing though with the NHL is there's such an inconsistency with the officiating, and it's going to get somebody really hurt when things get out of control the way that game was starting to.
Yeah, I mean, so like I agree with you. This is a game, and I would say this not just about this game, but any game. The team that loses, it's their fault. Solely their fault. That's by principle. Officiating wasn't the reason at all. And I will stand by that until the day I die when it comes to almost any game. Yeah. However, at the same time, I do think there was a huge double standard with the officiating. And like, I mean, Florida, I mean, again, kind of like what you said, they won the 2 Stanley Cups and all that type of stuff. But I thought like that game in particular, compared to like us playing them before in the playoffs, I've never seen them that dirty. Honestly, I don't know if I have.
Maybe. They're also, it's the same.
I mean, they are a dirty team, but I just thought the degree was a bit higher in that game that we just witnessed Friday.
Maybe it could be a bit of recency bias, which is fine. It happens to all of us. But
yeah, it could.
For a game mid-30 something in the regular season, you don't usually expect to see that. No. But that's the DNA of this team. They know that Carolina is going to be there at the end to get in the way of them going for a three-peat. So they don't think they're going to win just based on, A, what's given them success, but B, what the league is just allowing them to continue to get away with. Why not, take a page from, the show Shoresy and just run them up and try to fill them in, which is, we can be as mad at it as we want. It worked.
Yeah, it did work. And that's, and I mean, like I talked with somebody earlier about this game and the fact like, oh, Florida should be punished for this. And I'm just like, well, okay, listen, if you were in Florida's shoes and you were allowed to get away with this, why stop? It's just like, why would you stop? So I still think Florida is an excellent team. I think Paul Maurice is a heck of a coach. Do I think officiating kind of needs to augment itself to not allow dirty plays like this? Absolutely. But I do think the biggest concern, and I think you would agree with me, Andrew, is while there was a bigger response than it was from the other playoff games in recent history, there wasn't enough of a response there from the Hurricanes.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'll be interested to see what happens on Tuesday, I believe it is, when we play them at home. I don't condone going out and headhunting. I don't condone, slew footing, anything like that. But I mean, every time AJ Greer steps on the ice, he needs to be put into the wall by somebody. And I don't care who you are. You see Greer, you're taking a run at him. You have to set the tone in that game. You can't let not only Florida, but the whole league be like, okay, this is how we can beat this team. Because come playoff time where, even though we're talking about the officials need to do more in this game, they were calling it tight by playoff standards. So this is what it's going to be. And if you want to win a cup, you have to be able to win games like this against teams like this. So, losing these 2 games like this, while it is unfortunate, I'm hoping that games like this maybe convince Tulsky that, okay, on paper,
Yep.
this is working, but this is not going to get it done in the playoffs. And it's not because any of these players aren't good enough. It's not because of anything like that. It's just there's a vital element to this team missing. Now, granted, come playoffs, I do expect guys like Svetch and Carrier to play with a little bit more bite. I don't
And
know.
maybe Nikishin.
I was just going to say he's been playing a little bit with less of an edge. I don't know if that's entirely not by design. I wouldn't be surprised if Rod has said to him, hey, I want you to figure out the system in this game before I can justify you taking bad penalties, which, that comes with it, like Svetch has a bit of that. But when Svetch is doing what he's capable of in terms of being a power forward, in terms of being an agitator, you can live with those penalties when the penalty kill is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, which prior to this year has always been kind of a given. But someone's got to step up, and I would not be upset if they did something where, like, off the opening face-off, someone's drop in the gloves. You have to do something to send a message.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I was thinking about that game on Tuesday a ton against Florida here, because I think I know they're probably not going to do this. I know they're probably not. But honestly, I would not play Bradley Nadeau that game. I would bring up Giovanni Smith and have him play that game, because he brings more of a snarl than probably a lot of the guys on the roster already. Is he skillful? Absolutely not. But you're going to need some of that. You just are.
He's not skillful, but I think he's someone who can chip in a couple of goals just by his greatness around the net. So
another Carrier Robinson type of player, but a lot more feistier.
Yeah. So I don't hate that thought at all. It's hard to take Nadeau out after a goal and 4 hits. So I mean, he did kind of step up physically against Florida. So maybe even taking out Jankowski or Kokoniemi, who Kokoniemi I actually liked in the Tampa game. Like, not that he did anything super impactful, but I thought he was playing pretty heavy and whatnot. But they got to do something. I think the solution should be in the 2C category. You just need a big guy there. I don't even care if he is top 6 skill wise. You just need something to open up the ice for those guys at this point.
Yeah. And I mean, just going through the goals from Friday night, I mean, you had Marchand scoring. I mean, we didn't even talk about the right before he scored, obviously, Marchand gave a little whack.
Little cup check.
Yeah, a cup check right there. It's a bussy. Honestly, I would have. Okay, this might be a hot take, but I would have challenged that goal. I would have.
I'd said
because
the same
I
thing.
feel like any goal would give Florida life at this point.
For sure. I'm guessing the thought process was you're up by 2. We've had terrible luck with the goal reviews. Maybe that's why Rod said, I'm just going to let my defense handle this. And not for nothing,
how did that work out?
Right. Well, right. The way I could see it playing out, though, is you can't challenge for a missed penalty. You can challenge for goaltender interference. And obviously, getting a little tap there will, take.
And that was pretty close to the goal, for the record. It was.
It was. I think there was enough time, though, that you could argue that if Bussy had gotten right back up, he would have been in a better position. That's not what I'm saying I think happened. I could see that being how the rules were interpreted, and then you're giving Florida the power play immediately after. So, well, I do agree. I probably would have challenged. I don't think it's the egregious coaching malpractice that some people have been saying.
I wouldn't say
I do see where he's coming from with that one.
Yeah, I understand it too. It's just I disagree with it. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But obviously Marchand scores. That gives Florida life. You have Bennett scoring, Reinhart, and again, I am not going to blame Bussy at all for any of these goals. But that third goal that tied it up, when that puck leaked through him, I was like, kind of wanted to save there,
Yeah, of the 3 was definitely the weakest, but I mean,
I can't fault him though. I just can't.
No, you can't. I mean, if anything, you got to give a lot of credit to Florida. Without Kachuk and Barkov, they're still doing the things that has made them the great team that they've been for the last 2 or 3 years. But I'm looking at our defense core and saying, y'all got to step up. And in particular, if there's one guy I'm going to single out a little bit in this episode, because
Mike Riley.
no, actually, because he's the seventh
Really?
defenseman, and he's played good before. This was not this was not a good run of games from him, but someone who we haven't talked about hardly at all season. And I just really kind of thought about this today, actually. Jalen Chatfield, what are you doing, buddy? He has not been noticeable to me all season. Not in like he's been awful way, but usually he's someone that we're looking at being like maybe he's supposed to be a top pair guy. And I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing, and it's what he's known for, is his wheels, and we haven't seen him turn on the wheels at all. And to me, there was only one game where I thought, okay, that's Jalen Chatfield, and that was I think the game at Nashville, where I thought he was just excellent. Other than that, I will admit, I think he's been a little bit uncharacteristic these games.
Yeah, he's been having a season where, say, if that was Nystrom, and it's okay, you're having a lot of games where I almost forget that you're on the team, which isn't a bad thing for a third pairing rookie demon. But that's not what he is. He's supposed to be, if not a core player, definitely the next best thing. And obviously I'm going to get a bit ahead of myself, but there was a big goal in that Tampa game where he gets caught flat-footed on his own blue line. And that's supposed to be one of our anchors. So, yes, Riley did have the glaring moments, but Riley isn't supposed to be an everyday player. Riley has stepped up and really kind of helped this season not go off the rails. So he, it's not an excuse. He's still getting paid a lot of money to play this game, but like, I'm not going to hold him to the same standard as Chatfield.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. There is another defenseman, and I think if you just kind of look at like the goals combining on this Florida trip, I mean, Sean Walker, because he didn't box out a couple of players correctly. I think one goal against Tampa, which we'll cover, and then one goal here in Florida, he didn't box out correctly either. I'm just like, Walker, what are you doing, man? So it's just,
Yeah, he's earned himself a little bit of grace that even though you're 110% right, if there's one guy you can point to say that, okay, this season isn't, we're not looking at these two collapses as okay, this might just be a tough weekend. Look at the standings, they're fine. Without Walker doing what he's done, we might be, chasing a playoff spot right now. So
and same with Shane Gostisbehere. Like if he made a mistake, like that's more of an outlier than the norm for him.
Which off the top of my head, I can't really think of any glaring things that Ghost has done wrong in his
own end.
So I'll keep saying it right now. He's my MVP of this team.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely up there for me. I will say I love Ghost this season. Really do. Well, Andrew, this obviously goes into overtime. Nothing happens. Well, one thing happened. I think we might have already talked about it. But Darvis, he tries to go in, gets tripped. No call. I already said my beef on the official, so I'm not gonna beat the dead horse again. I think it's the what you call it. But that trip, I will admit, I was frustrated, and I think us Canes fans, and I understand it. And I would say any fan of any team, if there's a penalty call like that is not called and your player gets hurt, you are fuming, especially if that's a player that has the same caliber of Seth Jarvis.
Yeah, and
I was fuming.
Oh yeah, well, because it wasn't like it was subtle or like you could miss it. It was he got his legs chopped.
Yeah,
and goes flying because of it. So not only did I think it was a missed call, I thought it was borderline dirty. I mean, you can argue he was going for the puck or whatever, but I mean, you don't swing down like that in that position. You try to box out, you try to poke the puck. You don't take a player out like that. So, I mean, people are going to try to spin it as, oh, you crashed the net, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, every player does that in overtime, and that doesn't happen because guys aren't taking golf swings at your skates. So,
Yeah.
Crazy missed call. It was an overtime, which it shouldn't have been in the first place. I'm not even going to blame the officials as far as the results are.
Yeah.
That
Oh, and
penalty.
Svetch.
Mm.
Like, you should have shot that puck into the empty nets. And I actually yelled at my TV when I saw that. I did.
Yeah, he was trying to make himself some more space, I think, which hindsight
Good
2020
God.
shouldn't have done it. He had 2
No.
assists in that game, so I'm not gonna beat him up too bad because I mean,
I
it's not
will-
his fault they blew a
Yeah.
3-goal lead. It's not.
I mean, I will admit, I thought if you take out that big mistake, big costly mistake, because it was a costly mistake, I thought he played a good game. Like, I think he had like 7 or 8 hits that game. Very physical, very, very good.
Yeah, I
But
think
I
overall
cannot allow that mistake and be like, because we really could have possibly won if he had shot on that empty net. So it's just like,
right, which unfortunately, this is going to be a trend of these 2 games because the same thing happened in Tampa where Spetch, granted, I don't think he played as good as Tampa as he did against Florida, even though
no.
he had a goal. But, he was 2 really boneheaded plays away from having a very solid weekend. Really was. But there were 2 plays on both games that led to, back-breaking goals.
Yeah, he basically hurt this team.
Yeah, he did, unfortunately. Which he helped them a lot too. So like I'm not going to pin this on Svetch. People recency bias is a crazy thing because when you hear that you think it's a long period of time. No, it can be literally the whole game. Like we're getting mad at Svetch for not shooting at the empty net. Yes, okay, that is bad. Correct. He's not the one who blew that lead. So sort of like when there's like a situation with like a goalie where it's like, okay, you would like to make them make that stop, but it shouldn't have been a 2-on-0 breakaway coming his way either. It's like that level of Spetch with me where it's frustrating, but his overall trajectory has been better lately. So I'm gonna haphazardly go to bat for Mr. Spetch in the cough here.
He didn't blow the lead, but he could have ended it.
For sure.
It's just
yeah. It is what it is.
I had an aneurysm when that happened. Oh my gosh. Man, I get animated, man, when I'm watching these games, especially that Florida game. I was emotionally tied into it because I mean that was the first game, Andrew, of us playing Florida ever since we got eliminated from them this season. So
right, and for it to happen that way too, which was very typical Canes Florida playoff type of stuff going on there. So yeah, Florida right now is still the team for us to beat. I don't know if they're the team to beat in the league right now, but I mean, if they get healthy and maybe even have a good deadline, I'm not going to be surprised if they go on a run again. But again, we'll talk about this more, I'm sure, after we talk about the Tampa game. But I'm really hoping that this was an eye-opening moment for management, because in that case, then these 2, although painful to go through losses, were actually pretty important to happen the way that they did.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously Florida, I mean, they win in the shootout. I mean, it was nice to see Blake score, but ultimately once it got to honestly probably like overtime, I was like, Florida's gonna find a way to win this.
The momentum was way too heavy in their favor. Way too heavy.
Yeah, but it was nice to see that goal there. But yeah, Florida, they win it. Last thing I want to talk about, then we'll get to the Tampa game. I know we've been talking a lot about this, but a lot happened. Seth Jarvis, do you think he hurt his ribs there, or do you think maybe his hand, or
looked like he was grabbing his wrist or his ribs? It looked like he made contact with both the post and the ice, kind of on the right side of his body. Went down holding it. The last thing I saw is that they're hoping that he'll be back in time for the Olympics. Not that I think he's making the team, which isn't anything to do with him. I think he's a big part of Canada's future, but with
all the young stars.
Bedard's hurt, so there's that. But Macklin Celebrini, man, if y'all haven't been able to stay up to watch a Sharks game, try to find time to go over this little holiday stretch here because that kid is incredible.
Oh, he is. Like just go on YouTube, type in Macklin Celebrini. You're gonna find gorgeous highlight reels of him.
Yeah,
He really is great.
nuts.
Okay, Florida game out of the way with Andrew. Done talking about that. Tampa game. Once again, honestly, I thought all the periods this whole weekend, combining Florida Tampa, I thought the first period was, I thought the best period the Hurricanes played against Tampa.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the 3 goals, but I mean, they were playing aggressive and they were drawing penalties,
Yeah.
which I mean, that's why they had the lead, which I mean, that's kind of a nice shift from the norm that they were given 4 power plays in the first period.
Double minor.
And we're able to capitalize on it
Yep.
because in the past that's been their issue is they'll, with the way that the Carolina plays, that aggressive forechecking, super annoying to play against style, they should be drawing penalties. It's up to them to capitalize, which they did. And then when that kind of ran out in the second period, it just became very obvious that they were on the back end of a back-to-back and had just gotten kind of rattled the last game, I think.
Yeah, I consider that this might be tough love here, but I don't think that's an excuse. But
no, it's not. They're getting paid millions of dollars.
Yeah.
If they had made it competitive and lost, then you can say it's an excuse. It's not an excuse to have one period where you come out guns blazing and then proceed to just get really kind of walked. And
oh yeah,
the
defense was just awful in that second period. The third period, the goals in there, I thought was for a different reason. But the second period, I mean, just defensive lapses. We already talked about Svetch just not taking the puck deep, which caused Finley to score on that 2-0 chance. Like, good gosh.
Yep, and I'm going to say the same thing about this game to a lesser extent than with Bussy, but I mean, I have a hard time blaming Kochetkov for this game, and that's how you know it's bad when there's when the other team puts a 6-piece on the board. And one of the first things I feel the need to say is like, hey, those last 2 goals, okay, yeah, sure. Like I would like Kochetkov to have those. But you want to talk about letting a team full of elite talent just absolutely walk up to your net and just light up your goalie, then yeah, that's what this Tampa game was. So the decor better be buying Bussy and Kochetkov drinks on the flight back to Raleigh. That's all I'm going to say because they let those boys down bad.
Oh, they did. It's just in that third period, like Kochetkov, like he loves his poke checks. He does, but they can also get him in trouble.
Yeah, he missed on that.
Happened. That's what happened with McDonough, and then the Guentzel goal. I mean, I don't think that Guentzel goal, that was not just, even though I thought he was at fault there for not covering the puck. I believe it was Mike Riley who was right there with them. It's like, what are you doing, man, too? So I think that's on both of those players.
Yeah,
for letting Guentzel score.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw any shade at Jake Guentzel. I thought he was awesome when he was here. I wish that had worked out. Seems like one of the genuine nice guys in the league. Mike Riley, you just lost a net front battle to Jake Guentzel. You should be ashamed of yourself. You really should. You're a defenseman, man. You can't let that tiny dude come in there and just go untouched. And I don't care how dialed in Kachekhov's in. You give a guy like Guentzel a wide open, close to the net shot, it's probably going to go in. I think the fact that it looked like PK could have made a save is actually a testament to PK's reaction to that setup. They've had a problem with that this year, where they're letting just these top tier guys just camp out in front of the net like it's nothing. And it's one thing when it's a bigger forward. This is Jake Guentzel.
Yeah,
like Jake Guentzel was just, I remember when he was with the team, with us, it was the concern of, okay, is this top line too small? And the answer is probably yes. That Jake Guentzel just walked untouched, and Mike Riley watched it happen. So that, I was just going up to bat for Riley a little bit earlier in this episode, but that one play in particular, that's a look in the mirror moment, man. If you want to be part of this team, if you want to be a day in and day out NHL defenseman, dudes like that can't be not afraid to go to the net when you're there. That's embarrassing.
Oh, it is. I completely agree. But I would also agree in the fact that because of how good he's done this whole season, I'm willing to give him another chance because he's played good in the past.
For sure, for sure. But can't
Yeah,
let
yeah, you
let
can't.
that one
I
slide.
agree.
You
Yeah,
can't.
you really can't. Another positive I want to take from this game though. I thought Nikishin looked really good defensively, like really, really good.
Agreed. He's continuing to grow. I
Just need
think
to have more of an edge. That's all
needs
I'm
to have
gonna say.
more of an edge. I do think there is something to be said about maybe Rod has said to him basically something to the effect of you're still learning, you're still kind of figuring out the rest of your game. I can't have you be learning and making honest mistakes along the way and taking dumb penalties at the same time. Because like we were saying prior, Spetch has a bit of that too. But Spetch, when he's going, you'll take a few of those penalties to go with the impact. So I do think that will come for Nikishin. But I do think it's a bit by design that we're seeing a bit less of it. Whether I
Yeah,
agree with that or not is a different conversation. But I think that that's what's happening here.
yeah. Well, I mean, like, let's say that is what's happening. Then my question for Brittamore is, okay, let's look at the hits that he's made. He hasn't really been getting called penalties on these. Like these are clean hits that he's mainly made throughout the season. So I mean, like, especially that Florida game. I know I didn't want to go back to that, but like, I mean, that the last 15 minutes, such a collapse. Like you can tell there was apathy there. It's just I feel like the debate within Kane's broadcasters, fandom, whatever, is okay, where's that apathy coming from? Some fans might say it's coming from the coach. Some
No.
fans might say it's coming from the players directly. It's just we don't know, you know?
Yeah, this team just looks like they are tired and need a break. Which luckily they got
Oh, I
the
think
short.
they do.
They got the short Christmas break coming. Again, we're not going to make excuses for guys getting paid this much money to play a game. But the reality is that it's been a bit of a revolving door for injuries. They've had a third of their top six is basically new to being in the top six.
Mm-hmm.
And the goaltending has been, granted, Bussy's been a great story, but it's been a bit of a question mark this year. So I think they haven't really been able to fully establish, okay, this is what this team is this year. So there's going to be growing pains. I think even though these two games were absolutely brutal, when you look big picture at how the season's going, do I think that this roster needs a shakeup? I do. But there's a bit of the sky is falling this happened after these two games, and I think that that's a little premature for what we're looking at right now. I think it
Oh
was just
yeah,
a tough weekend.
I agree, and I think it kind of comes back to like how we lost against or got eliminated against the Panthers last year. And I think all of us agree this team needs to get bigger. They just
Mhm,
do, and we
mhm.
saw that again against Florida. And I think you can say somewhat against Tampa too. I don't think it was to the effect of the Florida game,
No.
but you could say to some degree it was against Tampa too. So it's just they need to get bigger. And listen, I love that Stankoven and Ehlers Blake line. I really do. But it's so small. It's just like you wonder, come playoff time, are they going to be able to sustain those big bodies coming at them? You know?
Yeah, I'm big picture. I'm still all for trying to let Rod coach Stankoven into the transition, but for the here and now, I think it's time to put a pause on that experiment. We need a big body in there.
Oh, we do. Tage Thompson, future Hurricane. I'm just kidding. But I
Wouldn't
love
that be something?
Tage Thompson. Oh yeah, I really really would. Well, great episode, Andrew, and also since this is the only episode for this week, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you guys have a great Christmas. Andrew,
Maybe.
have any plans?
Hanging out up here with the family. We're dual holiday household here, so Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to all who celebrate.
Nice.
Try to spend some time with your loved ones and maybe give that relative that you usually argue with a hug. Lead with love this holiday season,
Yeah,
everybody.
definitely. But I'll be hanging out with my parents during the Christmas, so that's going to be fun. So yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody, and we will see you guys next week.